Alright, so in this video we're going to basically try and cover as much of the basic, or I would say mandatory, need to know Meterpreter commands. And over this course we're going to be going over a lot of commands. We're going to go over a lot of modules and different things that we can do inside of Meterpreter. But what I want to try and accomplish now is just getting just some fundamentals, just some really basic commands that we'll need to know in order to help us in our future videos, which you'll get better as we go along with it. Some of this stuff is going to be basic, and you may see me do a lot of this in other videos, but again, these are just very basic ones that we're going to cover, but extremely important ones to know. So the first one I guess I'm going to cover is, as you can see, we're in our Meterpreter session, and there's two ways to get out of Meterpreter. We can exit, or we can do a background. The difference is if we do an exit, it's going to kill our Meterpreter session, and it'll close the connection that we have with our target machine. So I don't want to do that. I want to keep being able to show you guys different Meterpreter commands. So I don't want to exit. Another thing that we can do is do the background, which that's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and that's going to background the session. So backgrounding the session doesn't kill the session. What it does is it allows us to go into maybe different sessions. Like we can actually exploit multiple machines, and it will create Meterpreter sessions and place them in the background. There's just so many different examples that I can give, or different scenarios, but we may want to background the session. Let's say we want to run some more auxiliary modules, do some more scans, maybe whatever it is. I mean, you can just take your pick, but there's a lot of different reasons why we would want to background the session. So once we've backgrounded the session, how do we get back inside of it? And so what we're going to do is a sessions and then a -L, and this will of course list the Meterpreter sessions that we have available. Now I have one that is ID number 2. I had a Meterpreter session previously which I exited, so that's why you don't see 1 there, but it goes in order. It'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth, however many you have open. So currently I only have 2 open, and it tells us what kind of session it is, which it's a Meterpreter session. Tells us the information as what kind of rights we have on the system and the name of the computer. Also the connection, so we can see our machine and the port that we have open, which is 4444, and we're connected to 192.168.1.106, and that is on their port there coming back to us, and that's our XP machine. So to get into this, we're going to do a sessions-I and then the ID number, which mine is 2, so I'm going to put 2. If yours is 1, then you'll just put 1, and we'll hit enter. And now we're back in our Meterpreter session. So another extremely common command is to do a PS, and a PS is going to list the processes that are running on our target machine. It would be similar if we were, let's say, the user on this machine, and let's say we did a Control-Alt-Delete. That pulls up our task manager, and we can see a list of processes. So everything that's listed in here, it's going to show here by using the PS command in our Meterpreter session, which is nice. And of course, you can use your imagination. Why would this be useful? Of course, we can see what programs are running, maybe get an idea of if there's services running, which there's actually another command for that. But it just gives us more information about the system. Are they running Firefox or Internet Explorer? Are they, do they use certain software that might have certain vulnerabilities that we can try and use later? Many different reasons. Another reason that I use the PS command is because it shows us the process ID, the process name. It also shows us the level of authority that it has, and the location of where the file is located. All of this, as you will see in future videos, extremely important information to know. And so the next thing that I guess we need to cover is the getUID command. This is going to show us our current level of authority on the system, which we are currently NT authority/system. This is the highest level of privileges that you can have on our target machine or on a Windows system. You can see that there's different ones here. There is an XPVM1, which is the name of the computer, and the actual user that's logged in is called Researcher. There's an NT Authority, there's a local service, there's a network service, and obviously the system service. And there's nothing else listed here. So the system is the highest level that we can obtain. So that's important to know, because we might not always have NT Authority system. The good thing about Meterpreter is that when we get our Meterpreter session, it's attaching itself to one of these processes. Now, obviously, it's going to try and attach itself to the highest level possible. But I need to know what process exactly are we. And it's important to know this, because if the user terminates our process, then we're going to be disconnected. We're going to lose our Meterpreter session, and we don't want that to happen. So let's say, I guess I can show you the get PID. Get PID is get the process ID of what we are currently attached to. So we're currently attached to 1136, which is right here. We're attached to an svchost.exe, and as you can see, we are NT Authority system, which we saw by using the get UID command. Now the SVC host, just a quick lesson, and the svchost.exe is ran multiple times. As you can see, it's all running out of the system32 folder, and it's the same exe, but it's being ran multiple times, and this is in charge of running different services. So unless the user actually started shutting down services, then we really shouldn't have to worry about losing our connection. Another good service is also this lsass.exe. That's something that is always running in the Windows operating system. And if obviously they try to shut this down, I think it actually won't allow you to shut that down. So definitely some good things to know there. And this leads me to the migrate command. The migrate command is going to be extremely important, and we're going to use it a whole lot in future videos. So I want you to go ahead and take everything that I've been showing you here and get comfortable with using it. Rewind or back up the video. I don't know if you can really rewind a digital video, but anyhow, get comfortable and get used to using these commands. So the migrate command is used to migrate to a different process. So if we didn't want to be in the process that we are now, we can actually jump to a different process. Now, of course, on our current scenario, we've got the highest privileges available, and we're connected to a pretty good process that most probably won't be shut down by the user. Now, that's just the thing. If the user does shut it down, we lose our Meterpreter session. So why would we want to migrate? In this case, we really wouldn't want to. But let's say, for example, there's a cmd.exe. Later on in future videos, we're going to go over some payloads, backdoors, and stuff like that will run, and sometimes that will get us into the system. And of course, when we get access to the system, if whatever process was used to get into the system, that's what we are. When we actually do our get PID, it'll show whatever process it is. So when we talk about viruses, or let's say malicious executable files, let's say it was backdoor.exe. If the user executes backdoor.exe, it's going to launch itself as a process, and it will connect back to us. And we are then whatever process that is. Well, if the user doesn't like that, or if he notices that something fishy is going on, well, as soon as he closes that, again, we lose our session, and we don't want that to happen. So let's use this as an example. I'm going to use the migrate command, and we're going to migrate to 2080, which again, it really makes sense right now because I'm migrating to a lesser, probably privileged user, or rights, I should say. We were already the highest. And now if I do a get UID, we can see that I am the computer, and here's the researcher name, which is the user that's logged in. And if we go back to our XP machine, here's our cmd.exe. It's our command prompt. So if I were to close this as the user, it would kill our Meterpreter session, and I definitely don't want that to happen. Now, in this, as a same example, as you'll see later on in future videos, let's say that we attached like a virus or a payload to this command, the cmd.exe. Well, if that's how we gained access to the system, again, they could close it out. We would lose our session. So at this point, let's just pretend for whatever reason we are cmd.exe, which if I get PID, which is the process ID, we are 2080. So we are the command prompt. Well, obviously, this isn't a very safe process. The user can close it, like I've discussed before, and we need to try to move away from this as fast as possible. And so that's why we would need to migrate to a different system, like the LSASS or so forth. I know I'm kind of going on about it a bit, but I just want you to make sure that you understand the importance of it. Well, now that we are a lesser privileged user, first of all, I don't know if we naturally wouldn't know, is this user, do they have admin privileges? Are they just a regular user? Do they have no privileges at all? We don't know. Well, if we are a regular user and we don't have any admin privileges, we cannot migrate ourselves to an NT authority system. So what we would want to do is we need to first do a get system command, and this will try and obtain the system privileges. So there are several techniques that it tries to use, and it's going to cycle through like technique 1, technique 2, technique 3, technique 4, until it either gets the system privileges or it fails. In this case, we were able to get the system via technique 1, so it had no problems there. If I do a get, if I get a UID, we are now NT authority system. So we were able to escalate our privileges to the NT authority system, which is the highest that we can grab. So that's really exciting because we can pretty much do whatever we want at this point. The last thing is let's see something interesting. Get PID, and we are still process 2080. So even though that 2080 is command.exe and is at the user level privilege, we were still able to keep our process but obtain higher privileges. Well, now that we've obtained the higher privileges, we want to migrate away to another NT authority system. And I'm going to go ahead and use 916, which on your system, it will probably be different. Don't expect my PIDs to be different, or to be the same, I should say, as what you have. So again, I'm going to look for a process like SVC host is a good one to migrate to, and one that has NT authority system. And so for me, that process is 916. So I'm going to migrate to 916. And that's going to get us out of that command prompt process and get us into that SVC host process. So now it migrated. I can do a get PID, and we are 916. I can do another get UID. Yes, we still have our privileges, so we would be safe at this point. The user could close the command prompt, and we're still going to be okay. All right, so that was quite a bit of explaining, but there's just a little bit more that I need to show you guys that are definitely going to help you out. One of these commands is a PWD. PWD stands for Present Working Directory. This shows us at what place we are in the system. Now, one thing to keep in mind, I hope that all this will start making sense, is that we are process 916. Process 916 is being executed out of the C drive Windows System 32 folder. So when I do a PWD, we are in Windows System 32. So even though that we are in the System 32, if we can still get out of that, we can stay the same process that we are, and we can actually move around the system. I can do that by just doing, let's say, CD, and I can, what I want you to do is use the single quote. and let's say C:\\, and then another single quote. This will make sense in a little bit. Now if I do a PWD, we are now in the C drive. So a good example of the single quote is if we do a change directory, C:\, and let's say we do a documents and settings, for example. If I did not put these quotation marks, it wouldn't know how to navigate. And the reason, the troubles that it has have to do with these spaces in between the words. It's looking for our location, but when we start putting spaces, it thinks that we're trying to execute different commands. So it doesn't really know how to tell, okay, are we typing in the location, or are we now trying to execute different commands because we're putting spaces in there? And so that's why you would want to use the single quote to get to any directory that has spaces involved, like program files. That would be another one that's two separate words. So you would want to use those single quotes. So that's just an example. Another cool thing that we can do is we can do a ls. And these are the next few commands I'm going to share are all actually Linux commands. But we can execute these Linux commands and it will, I don't know if I should say interpret it, but it will translate it, I think is the word I'm looking for. It will translate that into Windows to do what we are trying to do. So an ls in Linux is the equivalent of doing a dir command in Windows in the command prompt. So that's going to list all of the files or directories in that folder. So by doing that ls, here is everything in the C:\/ our C drive, which we were able to see what we were up there when we did that PWD. So there's that, for example. Another thing that we can do is we can do a cat command. A cat command is the same command that is used in command prompt as type. If we were in a shell, we could do type and then the name of like let's say secret.txt is down here. Well, if I do secret.txt in command prompt with the type, it would display the contents of secret.txt. Well, Linux doesn't use the type command. Linux is going to use the cat command and secret.txt. And this will list the contents of secret.txt. And if you're wondering, if you're wondering exactly, is this correct or how does this look, we can definitely go, just create yourself a text document and save it and test it yourself. I'm going to go ahead and go to the C drive, and there's our secret.txt. And this one actually is going across, and this has to do with editing it in Linux. I actually created this in Linux, and so in Windows it translates a little bit differently. But Linux will still output the contents. So if I actually change this, let's change this over here, and I'll just say hello, and then we'll just make some lines down here, and I'm going to save that. So I'm going to go back to Kali, and I'm going to go ahead and do a cat secret.txt, and we can see that it displays exactly as it was in that text document. Well, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to edit this. And the reason that it looked all weird the last time we opened it up inside of Windows is because I have edited it before in Linux, and when we do that, the formatting is different, so it looks very strange. So anyways, to edit it, we would just use the edit command, and we can do edit secret.txt. Now what this is going to do is it's going to open up in Linux what's called the Vim or the VI editor, and it's a little bit tricky, especially if you've never used it before. It's not exactly beginner friendly, but let's go ahead and just open that up. It opens up this the Vim editor or the VI editor, and we can see line by line exactly how it is in Windows. So if I press the I, That's insert mode. Now we can edit the file. We can go down here. We can go to the end of hello, for example, hit enter, and now we can say this system is no good, or whatever you want to type in there. So to get out of this, what we're going to do is we're going to hit the escape key. And now we are no longer in the insert mode. And depending on where we're at, we can try and do a ZZ to exit, but that doesn't work. ZZ is also a command to try and get you out of here, but in this particular case, ZZ isn't working. So what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and hit escape one more time, just to make sure that our ZZ command didn't mess anything up. And we're going to go ahead and use the colon. We don't need to hold down shift and do the colon. We can just hit, I guess at this point it would be a semicolon. And that doesn't do anything. Hold on a second. Let me click in here. Hold down shift and hit the colon. There we go. So it is the colon. So hold down shift and press your semicolon, and there's the colon. You will notice that it appears down here at the bottom. And the next thing that we need to type in is, there's two different ways that we can do it. We can do, the most common is probably going to be the W and then Q. I don't know. Like I said, it's not beginner friendly. I myself don't use this VI editor all the time. I like to use Nano, but this is just how Meterpreter opens it. Do a colon WQ. If you did it right, it should show it down here at the bottom. Hit enter, and we are now out. So it should have saved it, and we can go ahead and do another cat secret.txt. Hit enter. There we go, and we can see that this system is no good, and it displays it at the bottom. So, man, a lot of talking, but super important stuff. So that's how you edit a file. What else do we need to cover? I think we can also do a download. We can do an upload. So, for example, if we wanted to download that file, we can simply use the download command, and we can do C://. Now, here's where it gets kind of weird. When we use the download or upload command, we have to use double slashes, or we call this a whack, which is a backslash. And it would be secret.txt. And then after that, we would need to specify the file location on our Linux machine to save it as. So /root/. And then we would just hit enter, and that would download it. So everything in Linux is going to be a / and single slashes. Everything in Windows is going to be a backslash or a whack and 2. So you'll get plenty of practice, trust me. So if I hit download, I'll hit enter, and it downloads it to our root directory, secret.txt. I can open up my another terminal. I can do an ls because we are currently in the root directory. And there's secret.txt. I can now do a nano secret.txt, and this opens it up in memory. And there it is. It shows what we edited and all that stuff. So Control X, that gets us out of the nano editor, if you want to do that. I'm just showing you guys. So let's nano secret one more time. And now I can delete this and just put this system is no good. I'm going to do a Control X. That's going to exit. It's going to ask us if we want to save modified buffer. I'm going to say Y for yes, so the letter Y. And the file name to write to, which is secret.txt. That's fine. I'm not going to change that. I'm just going to hit enter. So there we go. Now let's go back to Meterpreter. So at this point, what we can do is, let me do another ls, and the original secret.txt, let's go ahead and remove that. So to remove it, we're going to do an rm. This would be the same as if we did the del command in the command prompt for delete, and secret.txt. Let's do another ls, and it's no longer there. So I went ahead and deleted that for us. Now what we can do is we can do an upload, and this is going to upload a file from our system to the target system. And the file that we want to upload, we need to specify the location on our Linux machine first. So /root/secret.txt. We're going to basically re-upload this secret.txt, but the modified one, the one that we downloaded, we changed it, now we're going to go ahead and upload it. Yes, we could just edit it on their system, but I'm showing you the download and upload commands. So upload the file on our system, the location anyways, and then where do we want to upload it to on the Windows machine? C:\\, or \\, and then just hit enter. And now it's uploaded it there. I can do an ls, and there's our secret.txt. Let's do a cat secret.txt, and all it is this system is no good. So there's the example of upload and download. Of course, we can do it to any file we want. It doesn't have to be a TXT. We can download EXEs or PDFs, any kind of documents that we want. Upload, download, whatever it is. The last thing that I think I'm going to go ahead and show you guys is the execute command. The execute command will execute any one of these files. So, for example, later on I'm going to show you how to create these EXEs. These weird looking EXEs are, well actually there's one, and then here's another one down here. I'm going to show you how to create some EXEs that are basically backdoors, and the user can execute them. In this case, we could actually execute it for them. And so we use the execute command. We do a -f, and then the name of the file. So we can do 9988.exe, and that would execute 9988.exe. That's how that would work. Now let's say that we need to change directories back to cd c:/ or whack, and we'll do Windows/system32/ and then end that quote with a single quote. And now we can do a pwd, and now we're back to system32. Now inside system32 we have, I believe the calculator is in there. We also have the command prompt that's in there. I think the calculator's in there. We'll see if this actually works. If it's not in there, oh well. I'm going to do an execute. We'll do a -f, and then calc.exe is the calculator. So I'm going to go ahead and exit that. Process 232 created, so it should exist. And let's open this here. And it looks like it executes it in the background. Let's go ahead and look at Kali real quick and do a PS. And is calc running in here? Yes, calc is running in the background, and we can see that it is in system32. Let's open up Windows. We can go to the Start, All Programs, Accessories. Here is our calculator. If I right click and go to Properties, we can see in fact it is in C drive, Windows, System32, and calc.exe. So the cool thing is that the user cannot see what we're executing, but it does show up in the process ID. So that is about it. There's also the kill command, which will kill the process. So our calculator, I can do a kill 232 and do another PS, and that will kill that process. Let's say the command.exe, we can do a kill 2080, the name of the process. And let's go back to our XP machine. And our command prompt has disappeared. So anyways, guys, that's pretty much everything that I wanted to show you. I know it's a super lengthy video. We did a lot of talking, but it's all super important stuff. You know what? Actually, I'm going to take it back. Give me one more chance here. One more super awesome command that I'll go ahead and share. I forgot to share this. This was probably one of the first ones that I should have shown you. Was we can do a search. And this search command is awesome because if we were trying to look for something really specific and do it fairly quickly, and then just say grab it or look at the file contents and then get off of that system, we can try and locate it with the search command. So we can do a search, and for the search we're going to also do a -f, and then we can name the specific file, Or we can use wildcards. And a wildcard, if you don't know, is the asterisk, or just hold down your shift and press the number 8, the star, but we call it an asterisk. And that's a wildcard. So anything before, and I can say password, we can say secrets, whatever it is. So we can look up secret. I think what was the name of that text file that we created earlier? Was it secrets or secret? Okay, it's secret. So I'm going to use secret, put another wildcard. So if I didn't want to use a wildcard at the end, I could do like .txt, and I wouldn't have to use a wildcard. But a wildcard is going to specify that anything before, which is here, and anything after. So anything that contains secret, that's what it's going to look for. So let's go ahead and hit enter. It's going to do a search for secret. And let's jump back to the XP machine, and we can see that there's nothing alarming going on. The search thing didn't come up, so it's doing all of this in the background. And we can see that it found in the C drive secret.txt. There's documents and settings, researcher, recent, secret.ln. So it shows us not only what we're looking for, but the location. And so at this point, obviously, we can change directories. We can go to that file. We can edit that file. We can download that file. Man, we can do a lot of stuff. So now you can see kind of how you can kind of tie that together. So the search command is pretty awesome. I like that. Anyways, guys, that is the end of the video. Please go back, watch this video. I know it's super long, but watch this video a few times. Take some notes. Definitely take some notes until you get comfortable, until it starts sticking in your brain. So anyways, hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you in the next one.